All right. Finally made it. Had a whole bunch of technical issues to get started here today. So I'm hoping that this goes well. The first thing that we want to do is just really quickly have a look at the structure of the project. What we're going to do is we're going to create a couple VPCs tonight. We're going to connect those VPCs together through a transit gateway, and then I want to have a single internet dedicated VPC. So I created here just a basic foundation, our regular ignore, our regular CI scripts. And what I thought we would do first is instead of creating a VPC template from scratch, I'm just going to get one from, oh geez, what's it called? Our Orbit build stuff. So I'm just going to grab a template and we can modify that if we need to. Okay, so let me do that now. Figured there's no sense in building it completely from scratch, right? If we don't really have to. So just bear with me a sec. I gotta get logged in. All right, let's find this project. Almost there. So let's create that template. We'll just dump this in here. So like I said, this is a pre-built template we already have available. Figure far easier than writing this all from scratch. So that's what we're going to do. And we may make a few minor changes to this, but for the most part, if you've watched the stream before, you've seen this. So we've got public, private, protected subnets, and then this is going to be important today. Is it public? What this condition does is deploy an internet. So if we say is public true or yes, I can't remember what we said. It basically connects it to the internet with an internet gateway, deploys NAC gateways, everything you need to kind of set everything up and use it as a, well, I guess a VPC connected to the internet. And what we're going to do today is we're actually going to only do that in one particular deployment. And what we're going to do is use the transit gateway to push all the internet bound traffic through what we'll call our Internet VPC. So that's what this is. Before we do that, though, what we should do is get our transit gateway deployed in this account. So let's go over and have a quick look at what we need for this. So we'll say okay, so it's pretty basic to set up. So let's get this built out. So I'm going to borrow from this template and we'll grab so pretty standard. And then under here, you'll just call it transit gateway. Our type is so the first property that we can define is the Amazon side ASN. Now for today, this isn't going to be a big deal for us, but Amazon assigns a default ASN to, oops, oh, that's weird. You're not seeing what I'm seeing. All right. The fun continues. on one second. We're just going to switch it for a second. Back to here. Okay. So, okay, that looks better. That's what I'm expecting to see. So I started building out this template. I don't know what I've done here. I did a patch on OBS and it's been fun since. So let's see. If I go to Firefox, then come back here. Can you actually see me typing? Okay, I don't know what happened there. So I was saying that when you deploy a transit gateway, Amazon assigns an ASN to it, a default ASN. And I think if I remember, it's 64512, which in our particular situation here for this demo doesn't really matter because we're only going to have a single transit gateway. But a transit gateway is a regional service. So you could imagine if you had a larger deployment, a customer that we've worked with has, I think, 5 or 6 transit gateways spread across, it's either 5 or 6 regions, I can't remember. Each of those transit gateways should have its own unique ASN because at some point in the future, the transit gateways, to talk to each other, you peer them together. And currently, transit gateways only support static routing between them. So you have to set the routes up. But Amazon has said for a long time now on the roadmap that they will support dynamic or BGP routing between the peering connections on your transit gateways at some point. So if you have the same ASNs, that's going to be an issue for the routing. I'm going to basically set this up and I'm going to hard code it. Actually, no, we won't hard code it, but I'll put it as a parameter. And what you should do is have, increment them by 1 or however you want to do it. So I'm going to go like this. Okay, and then this will be our first parameter. So we'll just say, okay, and we'll pass that in later on. The next thing is we say association default route table ID. Now, let's actually jump over to the documentation here. See, yeah, that's wrong too. What's going on here? So on my, okay, let me change my tabs again. Yeah, something's definitely weird. On my screen, I have you're stuck on the VPC screen and I have the documentation open. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here again. We'll just switch that to PyCharm and then bring it back here. I don't know. Let's see what happens. That's the right PyCharm. Okay, so what if I go here now and just type? I don't know what I did here. I had a lot of technical problems today. Okay, well, I don't know. See what happens. So we've got association default route table ID. Let's figure out what that is. The ID of the default association route table. We're not actually going to use that, so we'll leave that blank. Okay, we don't require it. Away we go. The next thing is we've got auto accept shared attachments. I would say normally we don't want to auto accept any attachments, whether they're ours or not. You never quite know, right? So we're going to say disable. This is the default value, but I like to put them in the templates. Oh, sorry, I was in the wrong tab. There you go. Okay. So that's that. Default route table association. We also don't want to have any attachments that we create be automatically associated with the default route table, because we're going to create custom route tables for each of these. So we'll say this is also disable. Now there's another value here for default route table propagation. Enable or disable automatic propagation of routes to the default route table. Enable by default. This doesn't matter in our case because we're not actually going to use this, right? We're not going to have the default route table in use. a description, a DNS support. Okay, so let's add these. DNS support is enabled by default. I think we'll do this. You know, we should be setting these as parameters. So let's go like this. Auto accept attachment. We'll say the default is disable. And the allowed values will be, is it disable or disabled? No, it's disable. And enable. This will make it a little more flexible. Okay? And then we'll say default route association, also a string, it's disabled. I think it's allowed values now that I'm typing it. I can't remember. It'll yell at us. Allowed value, allowed values. I don't know. Okay. And then we can just, instead of hard coding this in the template now, we can do this. We can refer to whatever we pass in, right? This, let's keep this all dynamic. We'll use a substitute intrinsic function, and we're going to just go like this. We're going to say AWS stack name dash. We will set up some other variables or parameters. We use the standard set all the time, so we'll say environment, and then we'll just say TGW. I gotta look up the... You'd think by now I would remember, is it allowed value or allowed values? So if we go back over here. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Giorgio. How's it going, man? Long time no see, guys. Yeah, it's allowed values. There we go. All right. So let's go back over here. I guessed right, allowed values. So we're going to say DNS support. And in this case, we want to say enable. All right. Let's go back to the doc. How are you guys? I got started a little late tonight. I decided that I was going to update OBS software like 10 minutes before the stream, and you can imagine how well that worked out. Didn't work out nearly as well as I had hoped. Okay. We'll add these in just because we've been kind of setting it all up. Do we want to have multicast enabled or not? Required no, allowed values, disabled or enable. I wonder what the default is for that. I bet you it's disable. It's weird that it doesn't tell you a default value. I don't think we care. So let's say I'm interested now, so let's go back over here. I don't think I've ever... trying to think if we've ever dealt with this before. So it's a communication protocol used for delivering a single stream of data to multiple receiving computers simultaneously. Transit Gateway supports routing multicast traffic between subnets of attached VPCs and serves as a multicast router for instances serving traffic destined for multiple receiving instances. So we definitely don't need that. All right. So we'll set it to disabled. There we go. Mystery solved. I can hear the TV running downstairs, and I think we are getting some sort of emergency alert on the TV. It sounds very robotic. I wonder what that is. Exciting. Okay, so that's multicast. Propagation default route table ID, the ID of the default propagation route table. We're not going to worry about that. The transit gate cider blocks. Huh. I just closed the documentation. I shouldn't have done that. This is essentially what we're creating. Was there a documentation reference there? The transit gateway cider blocks. I'm just interested to know what that is. So you can use a transit gateway connect attachment to connect to a third-party virtual appliance. Okay. A transit gateway connect peer consists of the following components. Is that what we just talked about here? Yeah, connect peer. Oh, so maybe if we're using one of these third-party virtual appliances running in a VPC, you have to provide it with these cider blocks? I don't think I've ever seen that before in one of our deployments, so we won't worry about that. I'm going to leave this documentation open in case we want to come back. So that's fine, that's fine. So we need tags. And I think I can remember these. Our standard set of tags. Right? So there's our transit gateway. Transit gateway is pretty simple to deploy. I'm going to look through the other bits of documentation though, because I remember recently they released, so there's VPC flow logs, which capture basic information, basically like a one-line log for all the packets flowing into or out of or within your VPC. Really great troubleshooting tool. And recently they announced that, if I remember, the transit gateway also supports that now. So that's good. So we'll have a look at that. But for now, let's just deploy our transit gateway. So I need our return values. What do we get here? The ID of the transit gateway or the ID of the transit gateway. That's easy enough. So we'll just go like this. And then we'll say export. Okay, so there we go. That's our transit gateway. So let's maybe just check how far we'll make it here with all of this, right? Because I guarantee you there's a spelling mistake here somewhere. So let's go over here. I grabbed this from our last walkthrough and just set it up so I didn't have to remember it all. So here's our, oh, you know what I did? Up here. Let's shrink all these down for the time being. And we'll go like this. So we need owner. Right. our standard set of tags. That's our VPC template. Did I set defaults? Yeah, I put all the defaults in here. So that means we really don't need to pass any of this except for the ASN. So if we go here, now the default is, I think it's 64.512. Doesn't really matter, right? Let's go 64.555 because it's just, we only have the one transit gateway, so no big deal. Remember though what I said at the beginning, if we had multiple transit gateways and we wanted to peer those together, then we would want unique ASNs on each of those transit gateways to support dynamic routing later on. But that's all we need for now. And then we'll go like this. And we do need to pass in owner email. So we'll go owner. Okay. We've got our project tag. I think that should be everything. Let's see how we do. I bet you by the time we get to GitLab, it's already failed. I don't even know if I have GitLab open, so just give me a sec and change screens. Oh, I do have GitLab open. It's impossible. Something went wrong. There's, oh my God, look at that. Is that the first time ever? It might be the first time ever. The validate and the deploy. Oh, there's no way the deploy will actually work though. So let's go over here. I'm gonna move my iPad here. Hold on a second. I keep looking off to the side. Should just put the iPad right over here. Another thing that I ran into today with the update is ran the update, and in the previous version I had all these little Twitch related widgets in OBS and they're gone. I'm sure they're there. I can't find them though. So anyways. All right, so let's see what happens here. Let's go over to formation. This has got to fail at some point, right? Yeah, that has to be the first time it's ever happened. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're in the wrong region. So let's go Canada. Okay, there's our Twitch Transit Gateway. It should just be the TGW. Okay, execute that. Now, I ran a class this week. Let's delete this. We don't need this anymore. Okay. If this works, first try, and I mean it this time, yeah. If this works, I think this will really be the first time we've ever checked in a brand new template and had it pass validation. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but pass validation, and I know it's just a simple validation, and actually get deployed. It hasn't failed. So if we go VPC, transit gateways, it's coming to life. Oh, we didn't put a name tag on it. We can fix that. There's the flow log piece there. So let's, while we're waiting for this, let's go look at this again. So we'll worry about attachments, transit gateway connect, multicast, peering attachments, routes, route tables. Okay. I wonder where flow logs are. Maybe flow logs aren't supported? Transit gateway flow logs? Or I wonder if it's just a regular flow log that you do something different with. Where are flow logs? See, this is EC2 flow log. Resource ID, resource type. That looks new. Let's have a look at what this is. The resource ID. Ah, look. Transit gateway attachment. Okay, so I wonder what the difference is. So let's have a quick look at the documentation again. Capture information about IP traffic going to and from your transit gateways. Could be published to CloudWatch logs. That's what we'll do. We do CloudWatch logs for all of our VPC flow logs as well. Did you ever create the Twitch demo cleanup? No, I didn't. You know, it's funny. I really like the training, but I've been training. I shouldn't say but. I like the training, and I've been training every week. Next week, I think, is my last training week before the end of the year, unless I get something else added to my calendar. But man, I don't know. I really like it. It just wipes me right out. So yeah, long answer to a pretty straightforward question. No, because I'm just exhausted. So I wander away and lie on the couch usually. I really fought with myself tonight even to do this, because I sat down, had dinner, and I was like, oh man, this couch is so comfortable. Maybe I should just sit here. And I managed to drag my ass off the couch, just barely. So no script yet. So yeah, flow logs goes to CloudWatch logs or S3. Okay, that's fine. Flow log data is collected outside of the path of your network traffic and therefore does not affect your performance or latency. Okay, you can delete flow logs without any risk. Flow logs capture traffic related only to the transit gateways. That makes sense. So you have transit gateway flow logs and VPC flow logs. Now, I don't see anything that tells us what were the two options: transit gateway or transit gateway attachment. I'm gonna speculate here. The name makes it pretty obvious. I'm gonna say transit gateway is all of the traffic flowing through the transit gateway. And if you created a transit gateway flow log that was associated to a particular transit gateway attachment, then it would only get that, right? Like the traffic flowing on that particular attachment. It seems pretty straightforward. I don't know for sure though. See, this is talking about the formats, the different fields. I don't see anything else. I think we're just going to try to do this. Okay. So let me go, just give me a second. Let me go back. We have a transit, not a transit gateway, a flow log template pre-built as well. So let me just grab that out of our other repo. Again, this is the stuff we use for Orbit build. So there's no sense in creating it from scratch. So let me grab all of this. And we can just modify this. So what we'll do is we'll go over here. And does it make sense to put this in its own template? I don't think it does. So let's go to the transit gateway. We'll shrink up the parameters, the resources. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just paste in what we have and then we'll just slice it up. So this is a full template. So obviously we don't need any of this. We'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of this. Oh, we'll need the retention. We don't need the VPC ID. And then this is basically a parameter. So we'll drag that up here and drop it here. Okay, so that's specific to CloudWatch logs. So how long do we want to retain the log data for? 90 days. Now, we don't need the resource. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so in our original flow log template, we have a flow log policy, and then we have a flow log role. I'm going to pull this out. I'm trying to find the right balance between too many templates or too few templates. I think I'd rather err on the side of having too many templates. We'll do some reorganization. So in here, I'm going to create an IAM template because we need a role. And then I'm going to create a CloudWatch log template. And then we're going to grab these two and drop them here. Okay. So let's just close all this down for now. And then that should be empty. That should be empty. And we're going to, wow, I really made a mess of this now, didn't I? So these are IAM resources. So let's just cut this out of here. And for now, dump it into there. And the actual log group is CloudWatch resource. So we'll dump that there. And then we've got the actual flow log. Okay, I think this makes more sense. So we can do this. And we'll say TGW. Okay. I think that'll work. We're going to need to change the resource IDs and all this, but that's for later. I'm going to grab our placeholders here, and we'll start with IAM. So we'll just go like this. For our TDW demo. Hey, TD Malone, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Okay. And then, yeah, we'll say resources, which are all these now badly formatted cut and pastes, which I can guarantee you are going to cause us problems. Okay, so there we go. We've got our flow log policy, and then we have our flow log role. And the role will be what we use, or what the service uses to say, hey, you can write to CloudWatch logs. So this we need to figure out, because I doubt, well, I don't know for sure, but VPC flow log seems very specific, right? So I'm just going to replace that with a holder for the time being. Do we actually need any parameters? We might not. I'm going to leave it there for now. And then let's do this. So we'll say deploy CloudWatch resources for our demo. Parameters we definitely need here. Resources, that's this. Again, badly formatted. And then we can go, where did we start? Transit Gateway. So we don't need the retain piece here. We can dump that over here. Okay. Hey, Father Goblin, welcome back. I think the screen share is frozen again. I don't know what I've done to this here. Hang on a second. Sorry, thanks for the heads up. Yeah, it's really... The only way I seem to be able to fix it is I have to change it and then flip it back. Okay. Can you see that now on your side? Just jumbly characters. You see the cursor moving around? Hopefully that fixes it. Is it back? Okay. Sorry about that, folks. If you see it again, if you see me keep looking down, I'll just keep an eye on the iPad. I don't know what I've done. I'm sure it's user error. The lesson here, the moral of the story is don't patch your streaming software 10 minutes before you decide that you're going to do some streaming. It's usually not a good idea. All right. So what we've got now is we've kind of separated our templates a little bit, right? We've got an IAM template for our IAM resources. We've got a CloudWatch log template for our, well, CloudWatch resources, Transit Gateway, and our VPC templates. Okay, I know what I'm missing here, but I don't know if I'm being a little silly. I'm gonna put this in here in case we want it. right? The only thing I'm thinking, KMS for key management, we could create our own customer managed key here and see how that works. Yeah, you know what? I'm looking at the screen over here. Give me a second. This might really screw us up. Let's see what happens. I'm noticing that what you're seeing on your screen isn't everything that I have on my screen either. Well, you're seeing all the typing, assuming that it isn't locked again. It looks okay. Okay, I won't mess around with it. We'll keep an eye on the blinking cursor. Perfect, thanks. All right, so yeah, so KMS, right? The only thing that I can think of for KMS right now, and I don't think I'll worry about it, but we'll just put the placeholder if we want to come back to it later on. KMS, we could use a customer managed key to encrypt the logs that are going in CloudWatch logs. Now, CloudWatch logs by default is encrypted using an AWS managed key. If we were building out a full stack of something here, I'd definitely say you should have your own KMS key. But for the time being, maybe what we'll do is we'll leave this on our maybe to-do list. Here, let's edit this guy. All right, and we'll just go, I think it's just that. Right, we'll add that maybe for another day, maybe. So, oh yeah, we need to check the service name for this, because what's the service name for that piece? And that is probably, should be, I would assume, in the documentation here somewhere, right? Yeah, this is frozen now too as well. Hang on. See, I just changed Firefox to the logging documentation. That's weird. I'll have to play around. Okay, so good. That's moving. All right. So here's where we want to publish to CloudWatch logs. This is what I'm after. That is the same. Permission statement's fine. And it is just VPC flow logs. Okay, great. I guess it's VPC flow log service. It's just maybe the source is different. The transit gateway versus a VPC. So that means we could just leave this like that. Okay. And then we need outputs for this because we're going to need to use, where is it? Here. We're going to need to, nope, that's fine. Oh, it would be in the transit gateway itself. So in this file, we need to say what is the role that we're going to use for allowing the transit gateway to write to the flow log service. So let's figure this piece out. So I'm looking for an IAM role. You know, I probably deleted the output for that, and it's probably right in my file. Just give me a second again. I'm going to jump back over to the other repo and see if that doc or that little bit of code is there. Oh, interesting. We didn't put an output there. Huh. Okay. Well, let's deal with that right now then. Okay. So now we're looking for IAM role. I never remember where IAM is in this list. There it is. So I need the ARN of the role so we can look at return values. That's the resource name, so that we need ARN. And then if we wanted a role ID, I don't think we need that. Okay, so let's do this. Yeah, so you can't, wow, I gotta fix this. Hang on a second. You're not even able to see the bottom of my screen here. I don't know what this is gonna do, but we're gonna do a transform. That looks a little better. Can you see the bottom of the screen now? Do you see like terminal, Python console. Do you see that at the bottom? So this is a get attribute, and we want flow log .arn. And sub can't see the terminal itself, but you can see, okay, yeah, you see that status bar. Yeah, you couldn't see that before. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I've done here. I guess as long as we get most of the screen. Okay, so there's our only output that we need. We're just going to need this ARN for the flow log setup on the other side. And I don't think we need any parameters, so we can get rid of this. Okay. So if we update this, now this is in modules. And then don't need any, oh, we need the parameter. I'll check if we had any tags. If we didn't have tags, we'll add those tags here in a second. And then I'm gonna put in here, I wonder if I can remember this. I think it's just job dash name. Yeah, it doesn't like that. So let's go check. This is like a way we can job one. We can basically say one of the deploys requires the other one to be done first. I just can never remember the pipeline name, the names for this. It's something in the predefined variables. Might be in here. If I can't find it here quickly, we'll do the old multi-stage thing rather than just using the job reference. Okay, so stages. All jobs in the build execute in parallel. All jobs. Huh. If I didn't need this, it'd be the very first thing I found. That's gonna bug me now. There is, if we go back over here, maybe we can find a hint in here. So if I go into the pipeline, see this jobs, is it needs? Yeah, this is maybe it. This is maybe it. It needs this job. See this here? This is basically what it does. You can use needs relationship in full pipeline graphs. Needs keyword. Yeah, see, this is what I'm after. So, okay. I think now, if I remember, it would actually be needs job. Yeah. I don't know why it doesn't. There we go. Okay. So this needs deploy TGW needs deploy IAM because I'm going to do this. We're going to say IAM stack is Twitch-IAM because we're going to use the exports from the Twitch IAM stack to become imports in now to our TGW stack because I need the IAM role that we want to associate with our flow log. Okay. So the first thing is we'll just go like this. We'll say IAM stack equals stack. That'll just pass in the stack name. And then we'll go up here and we'll call this, we'll add a new little section here just to kind of organize it. We'll say stack parameters. And we'll just say IAM stack. Now this, I'm going to use an import statement for instead. The question is, can we remember the import statement? I'm going to see if the Mac will find this for me or not. Doesn't look like it will. I think we can just quickly Google this and figure it out. I'll show you what I'm looking at. All right, so this is what we need to figure out. Okay. So we want to use, you can use a shorter form of this. But since we're pulling in other things, I think this is what we want. I think this is the structure that we want. So you can't use the short form of import when it contains a sub, and we want to use a sub. So that means we need to do it like this. The structure of this, like the way they're showing on the screen here, isn't jogging my memory on how this is done. It's amazing to me if you do this stuff all the time and then you still can't seem to remember it when you want to use it. So we're going to say and then we're going to go sub, and in this case we're going to say so pull in the stack name dash, and I think we just called it ARN. From over here, right? Yeah, we just called it dash ARN. Still doesn't feel right though. I wonder, let me just check another, let me check a different project. See if I can find this. We must have it somewhere because we've done these. A couple weeks ago we did a demo with the VPC IPAM stuff. I wonder if we had a couple. It's just a single file. Here, I'll show you again what I'm looking at. All right, these are all the demos we've done. Let's just check a couple of these. I'm looking for something where we've had more than one template. Okay, look at this one. This has got a bunch of stuff in it. So if we just go to, doesn't really matter. Let's take one of these. Ah, see, this is what I was after. Okay. Can never remember the format of that. So if we go back over here, that right, and it becomes, what did I call it? Just ARN. This also, we need to put it to do here because the log name is going to be created somewhere else before we get to this part. So let's figure this little chunk out because these resource IDs and the resource type change. So let's hop over back to the doc and look at our flow log again. So it was just, I think it's just EC2 flow log. Okay. So we have the permissions. Let's just go through these since there's some new stuff. Destination options, file format. So the default is plain text. We could go to Parquet if we wanted, but you know what? Parquet would compress it and make it a little better, like less space and stuff. But I'm not quite sure if Parquet, what I want to do is I want to be able to consume this information easily in CloudWatch logs insights, CloudWatch log insights. And I don't know if it supports Parquet or not. So I think for now we'll leave the default as plain text. Our log destination will be, okay, so we're going to say CloudWatch logs. So this will be the ARN of the log group. Log destination type. Yeah, there's a few things here that we might have to change. Oh, okay, so I see what we've done. In our format, instead of putting the log destination, yeah, see here it says you could use log destination where you're providing the ARN, or you could use log group name. So either or would work. We chose to say the log destination type is CloudWatch logs. That's the default, so we didn't specify it in our template. And then we didn't worry about log format, but then we put the log group name in. So instead of using the ARN, we just use the name. Okay, resource ID. So in this case, the resource ID will be our transit gateway ID, not the VPC ID. And then we need a resource type. Okay, so this becomes transit gateway. And then let's do this. Ref, we'll make this a parameter now since it can support more than, well, actually, we are putting the, I'm trying to think of where this makes sense to do this. I think it makes sense to do it here, which in this case, the resource type isn't going to ever be a VPC because the flow log definition is in a transit gateway template, right? So why create this? And instead we'll just say transit gateway. I was debating, do you put the flow log destination, like the flow log configuration in its own template? But that seems like now we're getting a little, maybe a little extreme. So we can just put that there. Okay, so that's fine. And it does support tags, which we don't have in here. So let's do the same thing. Grab this. Whoops. And do that. Okay. I also want to add a tag here to set the name. And we'll go sub. We'll actually just we'll make it the same as the description. So we'll just copy that there. Okay. The flow log, it's interesting. I don't think the flow log has a name. I think it generates that dynamically. And then the log group, like where we're actually sending the data, will actually require a name. Okay, so before we can fill that out, we got to do this. So this needs an output as well. So let's find AWS logs log group. We'll go back over to our docs here. One day I'll figure out how this is organized. It's like, I guess if it feels kind of, sort of alphabetical, but then it isn't, right? If you see logs, the hardest part about this is actually finding the, could be CloudWatch maybe. CloudWatch logs, there it is. And what we're looking for here is what are the return values. So I think in this part, to give us some more flexibility, I might actually do both a ref as well as a get attribute to get the ARN, because then I've got some flexibility, right? I could use either or if I ever need it. So I could go back over here and we'll call it, we'll go log group name, right? and then the export. Man, I'm still not used to this keyboard mapping. Okay, so we got that. And then we'll say log group ARN. Okay. Let's match this up. Let's make this a little different. We're going to do, if you see the way AWS does this, they usually say /AWS/ and then something. So let's kind of mimic that. We'll say /CO for Curious Orbit, stack name, and then we'll go do we want to do this? Yeah, we do. We do. Right? So it's a so now we know it's one of our custom log groups because it's prefixed with prefaced with CO. Then we've got the stack name. Do we need the stack name? Probably not, eh? That seems like maybe overkill. Let's try it like this and see what it looks like. Now the question is, does the log group, I can't remember if we already saw this or not, does it now support tagging? It does. Okay, so let's set up the tags here to make kind of follow our standard of tagging all the things, right? So we're going to do this, and we'll dump that here. I'm going to leave the name tag off, and then we'll grab our tag parameters from here and just dump those here. Okay. So now that's going to tag this with everything we need and bring us the exports that we need. Perfect. Seems logical. So let's go like this. And that becomes CD or CWL. And then we'll just copy all of this. CloudWatch logs. Right. Now, I can't remember already. Does CloudWatch logs need anything? It doesn't. So that means we could deploy CloudWatch logs and our IAM resources at the same time. Okay. Oh, I'm looking in the wrong spot. I'm like, what? Let's close this down. Just keep it a little simpler. So there's our IAM resources, CloudWatch log resources, and we know that we can tag these roles now. So let's go over here and go like that. And then we need parameters added here. Okay. All right. I wonder, since we're going crazy on tags, let's go back over here, find IAM. Can we tag a managed policy now too? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, I don't see any tag parameters there. Okay. So we've got those, got it here. That means we need to, IAM doesn't have this because we just copied and pasted that. We've got our owner email, owner email, and then our transit gateway. Now there was something we're missing here. Okay, no, we've got the IAM stack. Let me just check transit gateway again. Was there anything else we added? I don't think so. Oh yeah, we need the log group name. So in this case, and we just called it name, right? So then I have to go up here and go Was it name? Yeah, it was just name. And then back here. Right? So these can be deployed in parallel. We can do our validate. I wonder, you know, we should probably do something like this. Since we're doing the needs thing. Job validate, right? I think that'll work like that. I don't know if we've done that before or not. And then we could do, actually, this is kind of dumb because we've set the stages like this. I don't think there's any benefit of doing that other than adding lines to your CI script, which would make it harder to manage later. Okay, let's check this in. There is no possible way that this will work. We've made so many changes at this point, right? So many updates. I'm going to say the exact same thing I said last time because it seemed to help us. By the time I get to GitLab, it will have failed. Where's GitLab? I've lost GitLab. Sorry, give me a second. Demo. Okay, there it is. Hey, there we go. We're back to normal. We got one free pass. I'm not surprised. We changed a lot there. Okay, so we got validate. We got our... That's good. CWL worked. What happened here? Oh, that's a no-brainer too. Remember when you create IAM resources in CloudFormation, you must acknowledge that you know you're creating IAM resources. So in the console, it's just a button you click. In the template, you have to go in here. Ah, oh, can't believe that's what screwed us. You got to go, let's put it here. Capabilities, capability IAM. I think that's what it is. Do I push my luck? There's two options. It's capability named IAM and capability IAM. I think this is good. See, we can show this now, this dependency thing. Ooh. Oh, it's not updating again. You can't see what I'm seeing. Oops, hang on. Now I can't switch it back. Oh, that's properties for Firefox. What's happened? I've made it worse now. Oh, there it is. And it still failed. So we've missed something else, or there's the ever popular. Oh, look at that. I pushed my luck. Capabilities. I think that's how you spell capabilities. Okay, so let's do this. So we're just using really simple. Yeah, TD, it's frozen. Hopefully it's working now, I think. Yeah, I can see it moving again. We'll go to version 2 of the CLI, and we will find deploy. What did I do wrong? Dash dash capabilities, right? I think that's what I had. Dash dash. Oh, I spelt it wrong. I dropped an I. Look. Right here. It's not, it's T-E-S. It's that. Oh, capabilities is a word I can never spell. Okay, so there's that. Okay, and then let me just check since we're here. Let's find capabilities. See this? So I got this part right, capability IAM. What's the difference? This is when capability IAM is when we're letting, yeah, I totally spelt it wrong. It never fails. Yeah, see, it's still moving each time you switch back to the code editor. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be every single time. I must have something in the config screwed up. Because it used to work pretty good. So I don't know what I've done. I'll fiddle around with it and maybe before next week get it sorted out. But so what's the difference? Capability IAM is when you let IAM name the resources for you. Just like CloudFormation will dynamically create the role name, right? If you hard code the names in your CloudFormation templates for IAM, then you have to use capability named IAM. That's the difference. So let's go back over here. Actually, TD, I think you're right. I think it's, as I'm switching back and forth, something is not picking up the change. But it's weird because it doesn't seem to be doing it every single time. Yeah, okay, there you go. Okay, so here's what I did. I just said capabilities, spelt capabilities right. All right, yeah, there you go. I think it's back to life now, right? So I spelt this wrong, and then we're letting, as far as I know, let's check. Right? No policy name, no role name. So we're letting CloudFormation do that dynamically, okay? Technology, right? So we'll say CI fixed our favorite error. Kevin, you've hung around long enough, you know that's normally our problem, right? Spelling errors. Let's go there, deploy that again. And let's see if we go back over here. Okay, it's moving. I'm just going to do the screen wiggle, which is always fun to watch. And then we'll go here. And see what happens. Hey, IAM worked. This worked last time, so it should work again. That's funny. Wonder why. We must have spelt something wrong again. Oh, I didn't remember. We reorganized the templates, and in the I changed the validation part, but I didn't change the deploy piece. So I think that's what I did wrong. That is an easy one. So we can go here. Let's just shrink these down. Yeah, see here, I just should have said modules / okay. So before we deploy that, made it further. Yeah, you got it. Actually, let's redeploy this. Okay. One day I'm going to figure out, I can't figure out how to switch screens here. So that shows you my skill with OBS. But eventually one day I'll get OBS sorted out enough, and maybe we could get some little animations or something, right? And have like something for every time we spell something wrong. That would be a well-used animation. Okay, so let's go back over here. We'll let this pipeline run, and as it's doing that, let's go back over to CloudFormation, because we should have some new stacks here, right? So here's our IAM stack. Let's see if these actually deploy while we're waiting. This is really easy, just famous last words, right? This is easy. So we have a managed policy and a role. Didn't fail immediately. And I think we can deploy these in parallel because right now we don't have CloudWatch logs relying on anything else. So we can do that. Okay, so there's our policy. There we go. Okay, so the CloudWatch log group is set up now. The flow log role is set up, and we can check the outputs. So there's our role ARN. There it is, and there's the name, and then we should have the same thing over here, right? We did two. We did a log group ARN. Yeah, and there's our ARN and our name. And there's the path that we created for our log group. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, before we get overly excited about this, let's just go and have a quick look at these things. So we'll go CloudWatch, log group. This is my demo account, so I probably have some stuff in here. So why don't we take that I need. Here's another example, Kevin, of where we should be tagging these, right? Like we talked about a couple weeks ago. Okay, so there, we'll get rid of those to clean them up. And just because I saw that Lambda function, I must have created a Lambda function for some training or something the other day. Let's, if there is one here, we'll just clean it up. Yeah. Yeah, just delete it. There we go. Okay. So we were in CloudWatch logs. And we have our log group. Let's just check the config of it. Oops, went to log groups inside. So there we go. So we've got our retention set up, and KMS ID is blank right now, but it is going to use the, we're not using a custom or a customer managed KMS. So, or customer managed key. There we go. So that's fine. So this is good. Let's go back to CloudFormation and look. Did we get a change set for here? We did. So we should have modifying our transit gateway. It's not replacing the transit gateway. It's all it's doing in that case is I think we changed the name or a tag or something, right? And then we're adding the flow log. I'm not convinced that this will work on the first shot, but let's see what it does. This is the easy one, right? Just changing a name. There we go. Traffic type is not supported when resource type is transit gateway or transit gateway attachment. Really? I must have read that doc wrong then. Okay, so let's go back over here. I could have sworn we saw traffic type in there, didn't we? Oh, it was a flow log, so we got to find EC2. Where is that? There it is. Flow logs. Not JSON, YAML. What did it say? Traffic type is not supported when the resource type is transit gateway. Traffic type. Oh. So, okay, yeah, we didn't change that. I just, RTFM, right? I didn't look at this section because I'm like, well, I want to still have it capture all of the traffic. But I guess, you know what, this makes sense because in a VPC, you can decide what type of traffic you want. All of the traffic that's accepted, meaning it's flowing successfully through any security groups or NACLs that you have, or rejected when things, well, get rejected by a security group or NACL. Security groups and NACLs don't exist, and if I had of RTFM'd, right there. So we can fix that. That's an easy one, in theory. That is what needs to come off. Okay. Those are my favorite kinds of errors. In theory, easy to remedy errors. So we'll go back over here. Oh yeah, look. I created those needs, but we don't have enough needs even defined for it to draw us the little fancy graph. Okay, so there we go. Oh no. Okay, that's not our typo issue. That's being over anxious. Look at that. So because it was in cleanup in progress, we can't run another update. So this one's an easy fix. Let's move that out of the way. I keep clicking on the wrong thing. Let's go here and just run this job again. Right, there we go. We'll have our change set again, which should look exactly the same, right? Modifying the gateway and then adding the flow log. I'm thinking we could turn this into a couple different streams because there's something else that I've wanted to try. There's what's the name of it? I think it's the network manager that lets you create like a visualization of all of the attachments coming into your transit gateway and stuff, sort of for monitoring, right? That might be kind of cool to see if we can figure out how to codify that as well. All right, so there we go. That's better. So if we go over here now, we go back to VPC. We don't have any VPCs yet, but we do have a transit gateway. See this network manager here? If we go here, I won't go any further because I want to code this all up. We can create a global network and we get a little picture of stuff. It would be pretty basic in our example, but it might be kind of still neat to see how it works. Okay, so if we go to transit gateway, there we go. Now we've got the name, which is silly, TGW twice. So we're going to have to change that because that'll drive me nuts. Okay, so there's that. That would be actually hard to change because that's our stack name. And then we've got this at the end. Yeah. There's our flow log. Now, there shouldn't be anything here, obviously, because, well, there's nothing flowing through our transit gateway at this point. Right? Empty. So we've got our transit gateway. What we could do now is we could create our VPCs and attach them to the transit gateway. Okay. So if we go back over here, I grabbed earlier today this. This is our standard VPC template. And all we need to do is we need to pass in these different variables. This won't create it or won't associate or attach it to the transit gateway. So I think we might make a few changes here, but we'll leave the metadata for the time being. And really all we need to do is pass in, it's got some defaults set for all of this. Okay. So I'm thinking we can just simply go like this. And then we'll just grab this. And we'll call this deploy, I don't know. We'll make a couple things up. We'll say the app of VPC, okay? And we'll call this Twitch app VPC. I don't think we need any of these. Don't think we need any of these. We need to change this. But we do need a fair number of variables here. So I think I can just go, we'll just cut and paste placeholders for the time being. So what is it? Public subnet. So we got public subnets, private subnets, protected subnets, and then is public. So we'll just do this. Okay, and then is public is going to be no. So what I'm thinking is we deploy 3 VPCs total. 2 VPCs are not public, meaning they don't have internet gateways and they don't have NAC gateways. Instead, they have only attachments to the transit gateway. Okay. And then we deploy our 3rd VPC, and that's going to be our Internet VPC, which is public and has an attachment to the transit gateway. Okay. I think that's what we'll do. So what we need now are our CIDR ranges. So what we could do, we'll make the app and our 2 private VPCs, we'll give them custom values. And then for our Internet VPC, we'll let it come with the default. So we're just going to create them all as /16s. And we're going to just go through these. Oh man, CIDR math. Oh no. Actually, this is easy because we're just going to hopefully we'll just increment them all by like go up to 99 and then 100, right? I was like dreading having to figure out these CIDR ranges again. That wouldn't have been fun. I do want to change this because Amazon now recommends that you create, if you're going to associate this with a transit gateway, that you create a, yeah, I know, eh? Ugh, CIDR math, the worst. Future Blind, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Just the worst. Could be binary math, which I think would be worse again, but CIDR notation is not fun either. So I think we can get lucky and just do this. So let's do the old cut and paste and hope for the best. All right. So that's what we want to do. And I was saying that Amazon now recommends that you create like very small CIDR ranges for the transit gateway attachments. So like I'll put some placeholders. So we could do something like this. Right. Since we're not using them, we'll just do this. Right? And the idea would be like these could be /28, which gives you 16 IP addresses, 11 of which are usable in AWS. And then all that exists in those 2 subnets, I can't spell, those 2 subnets is the attachments that go back to the transit gateway, which is pretty much just an elastic network interface, right? For what it's worth, I use this for CIDR. Oh, did you share a link? Sorry, I don't have my little bot thing here, so it probably killed your message. I'll have a look later in the logs and grab it. I use something called the Visual Subnet Calculator. It's been around forever, and it works really well. I don't know if that's what you shared, but yeah, sorry. We were laughing earlier on. My Twitch management skills are not great, so I'll have a look in the logs. Oh, that's the one? Yeah. David something, right? Created it? Okay, so there we go. I'm going to change this because we don't need IAM for this, but we do need the TGW. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Eh? And then we'll just go like this. And we'll just call this, doesn't really, actually, let's do this. We'll call this our finance VPC, and we'll call this our marketing VPC. Okay. So we'll make this finance, we'll make this marketing. Okay. And then we'll just change these to 100. Perfect. I think, oh yeah, of course, we've got to go in here and we can get rid of these. I'm going to put these on a new line. We got to just take all of this and dump it down here to override the values in the template itself. I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do this, but this will do the trick. What was that one? Private subnet 0, so we need that. And like I said, the TGW ones don't exist at this point, so we'll just leave those alone. And we got to do the same thing up here. Right? Just push all this in. There we go. I've added this even though they really don't need it right now, because there is no reference to the transit gateway at this point. I'm thinking what we could do is potentially add another condition and just like have it like TGW attach, yes or no. And then if it's set to yes, then we deploy the attachments, or maybe we put those in a different template. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. So let's deploy these first and see if they work. So we'll say feature. Okay. So I have modules VPC. Last time we screwed the path up. Right? Okay, let's see what happens. You know, looking at this, I know it's silly, but we need this before we can deploy this, right? Because now we're referring to that CloudWatch log group here. So I could change our CI script for that. Not that it really matters, but let's see what happens with our 2 VPCs. Oh, there we go. Okay. Refresh. Doesn't mean that they actually deploy. So let's look at our change set. This will be a big change set, right? Now this is interesting. This is not what I was expecting to see. See this? I must have done something wrong, because I think I set it to is public no, right? Oh, oops. Okay, that explains it. Let's go back over here. Oh yeah, look, I just didn't pass it in. It didn't override the parameter. So the default is that it is public, and we don't want that. Right, so there we go. We'll jump back over. Oh, I don't know if my screen was maybe locked there. I don't know. Jump back over here, and we should see another change set pop in here once the pipeline reruns. You can't see, but one of my cats has been hanging out with us tonight. I'm surprised he hasn't been bugging us in the background. There we go. Okay, so see, now we don't have any NAT gateways. We don't have internet gateways. We don't even have public subnets, right? We just have private subnets and protected subnets, because there's no sense in having a public subnet, because the idea of the public subnet is something that has direct access to the internet. Excuse me, and nothing has direct access to the internet here. So let's deploy both of these and see. We can verify that they both look correct after the fact. Okay, so those will take a bit of time. Now, as that's working, I'm going to watch this one for a second just to make sure that it doesn't fail. Okay, so it created the VPC. We'll just watch it for a little longer. Yeah, that's probably, yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so what we need to do is figure out now what's the best way to associate these VPCs with our newly created transit gateway? Okay. And the way that you associate resources, VPCs, other transit gateways. What was the thing we looked at before? A transit gateway connect, which can go to third-party tools in a VPC. I'm missing something. Well, VPN connections is you create what's called an attachment. So we attach those resources, in our case, VPCs. Hang on a second. Hey, no. He's a little crazy in the head and he keeps itching his face. He's got a like eye all swollen up for some reason because he keeps scratching it too much. Anyways, cats. You associate or attach a VPC, a VPN, another peering connection or whatever, right? Or another transit gateway through an attachment. That's all it is. And you pay for each of those attachments plus the data that then flows through the attachment through the transit gateway somewhere else. Okay. The question is, what's the best way to do these attachments? Should they be in the VPC templates themselves? Or would it make more sense to put them in their own templates? Let's see what's involved, and then we can maybe figure it out. The attachments themselves are simple, but what we want to do is we want to create an attachment, and then we also want to have for each attachment a custom route table, because that gives us the granular ability to say, well, VPC1, or what are we calling it? The finance VPC can go to the internet, and the internet can go to the finance VPC, and the marketing one can do the same, but finance can't talk to marketing. Right? So you could have those really fine-grained controls. And in my opinion, the best way to do it is with individual route tables for each of your attachments. So in this case, we'd end up with 4 route tables. The default route table, which comes with the transit gateway, which we're not going to use, and then 3 other route tables, one for each of the attachments: our Internet VPC, our Finance VPC, and our Marketing VPC. Okay. All right. So let's look at my brain froze there for a second. Let's look at the documentation for this. Oh, it's frozen again. Okay, there we go. And this is it. So we should see EC2 transit gateway. See this? We have VPC attachments. We've got a fair amount, right? We've got an attachment, a route table association, route table propagations, and potentially routes. I think it probably makes sense to put all of this into a separate template that we can call over and over one time for each of the VPCs that we want to now attach or associate to our transit gateway. But let's have a look at what's involved. Okay, so transit gateway attachment, you add your subnet IDs. So what you're doing here is you're putting an elastic network interface, one in each of the availability zones in your VPCs. So in our case, our VPCs cover 2 AZs. So I'm going to end up in here with 2 subnet IDs. And this is what I was mentioning. Amazon now recommends that you create like dedicated transit gateway subnets, but I don't want to do the CIDR math on that right now. So we're just going to associate the subnet IDs with what we're calling our private subnets. Okay, so that's the first thing. We'll figure out options here. Remove subnet IDs. I don't know what that is. So, oh, these are interesting. Okay, these might be new. We're going to have to check these out. Maybe that's what I was thinking. So you need subnet IDs, tags, your transit gateway, and the VPC ID. Okay, so let's have a look at this. The IDs of one or more subnets to add. Okay. Then here's our options. one or more subnets to remove. I've never seen that before. I don't recall seeing that. This is what I was thinking. So this is required, optional, optional, optional. Okay, so all we need is subnet IDs, tags, transit gateway, and the VPC ID. To me, maybe the attachment might make sense to put into the VPC template itself. So why don't we do this piece by piece? And if we have to adjust, we can, right? The beauty of doing this in a non-customer/live environment. We can blow it up if we have to, right? Yeah, this is now pooched as well. Okay, back to life. So let's go here. And I'm thinking what we do is we add another condition, and we'll just say TGW attached, right? Equals TGW attached, yes. And then we'll just add that as a parameter here. Right here. I don't know what I've got some plug-in here in PyCharm. Let's see how this, if I hit the single quote again, instead of just closing it off and saying, yeah, okay, it adds the second one. I don't know what it is. Okay, so that's that. That's easy. And then, right, these are all little bits and pieces here. Subnets. I used to know the keyboard shortcut in PyCharm to shrink all of this in one shot, and I can't remember it right now. See, these are all of our route tables. Here are our default routes. Okay, some of these aren't used. Our associations, wow. This is a pretty decent template now. It's been built out over a while. There we go. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create our attachments. So let's do this. So we're going to just go TGW attachment. Type is US. I'm going to add the condition statement to this in a minute, but for now, we'll just do this. So all we really need are the subnet IDs, and we'll just put placeholders. Okay. We need the transit gateway ID, which will do the same thing. I just have to look all this stuff up. VPC ID. This is an easy one. We can just say ref, and I think we just call it VPC. Yeah, VPC. I'm just thinking of something here. The transit gateway yeah, you know what? I don't know if this makes sense to put in here. Because, okay, we've got the subnet ID. The transit gateway comes from a different template. So there's another reference. This comes from the template. Transit gateway gets deployed before the VPCs. I think I'm going to continue to build it this way until it doesn't make sense anymore. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say condition. We're only going to deploy this if transit gateway attached. Okay. And it also depends on a bunch of things. So it depends on private subnet 0, private subnet 1. If we put these kind of in order, it doesn't really matter. VPC 0, right? Because then we refer to the subnet IDs, and this is going to be an import statement. So let's get the... So yeah, just private subnet, private subnet. Like that. Okay. Now we have one of these import statements already, which is just in one of these other files that we created. Not that one. Where was that? We figured this transit, they're not transit, we figured this import statement somewhere in here. Was it in the transit gateway template? There it is. Okay. So in here, we're going to say TGW stack, and we need the transit gateway ID. Did we do any outputs of this? There we go, dash ID. It's almost like we knew what we were doing. Get lucky every once in a while, right? So only create the transit gateway attachment if this is attached to a transit gateway. Okay, that's just our condition, and then it depends on a bunch of things. So I know the depends on statements don't really matter right now, but you can imagine if we were deploying this from scratch, you would want those other resources, the VPC, the private subnets, to exist prior to you trying to, well, create an attachment and associate to those services, right? Or those resources. So that's just I don't know if it's overkill or not, but it's just kind of the way that we build all our templates. So that's great. That's easy. So if we go back up to the parameters section, we're just going to shrink these down again. And I think what I'll do is we'll just do this, just because we did this in the other stuff. Tag parameters, parameters. I'm going to call these our condition parameters. And then we'll just go like this, stack parameters. And we just need TGW stack is a string, right? We should probably set this, to no as the default. Okay. I'm still hesitant that this is the right way to do it, but let's try it first. So now that we've got that set up, we can go to our, we're going to do this. And we're going to say TGW attached is yes. I'm going to put that down here. Right. And then we can just put that here too. Oh, I got the double single quote thing. Put that here, right? And then we need the TGW stack as well, which we just called, I think we just called it Twitch TGW. Because we got to pass that value in. All right. Let's see how we do here. Oh, okay, it's not frozen. Good. Good. And let's go back to our pipeline. And I think maybe our pipeline's frozen. Nope. Okay, good. Ah, validation failed. Ooh, that's ugly. Member must satisfy constraint. Member must have length. Oh, I've done this before. This is... Oh, what did I do wrong? Okay, so this looks good, right? That looks good. The structure of this is fine. Attached, attached, stack, stack. We just cut and pasted these. I think it's usually... Okay, so type is string, default is no, allowed values is yes and no. Okay. You know, first off, I usually like to make these questions, so maybe I can do this instead. Not that this is going to fix our problem. Okay. I think that makes more sense, like to follow the is public thing. And then if we go down here, I wonder if I've done something wrong in the condition statement. Well, we have, if we scroll up, condition is public. No, that's fine. Because that's what we did down here, right? Condition depends on... Oh, this is a really weird little error. One validation error detected. Transit gateway attachment. Maybe it's just... It's weird that it names off like a bunch of things, right? VPC, route table, subnet route table, VPC attachment, email. I think that's almost all of the resources in here. At type name list, failed to satisfy constraint. Member must have a length less than or equal to 204. Member must have a length greater or equal to 10. Well, we could always do the step-by-step thing, right? We're going to delete. I'm going to delete this. Actually, we'll just comment it all out. Is it a spacing thing? No. Okay, so what I'm going to do, again, there is a way to do this, but I can't remember the keyboard shortcut, so we'll go just, well, now I'm messing it up. There we go. That's horrible. But there we go. Job done. Okay, so let's do this. We can narrow down this very helpful error message step by step. Okay, so validation this time passed, and last time it didn't, right? Yeah, it failed right here. Okay, so that means then we'll let that pipeline run, doesn't matter. We've done something wrong here. Oh, I see what it is. I don't know who's left in the stream, but do you see it? It's not obvious. Well, once you see it, it's obvious. 1 colon instead of 2. That's a bit of an ugly one. Hopefully that's all it was. Hey, Proto Daniel, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome if you're still here. Ah, damn. Okay, that's easier. VPC 0. Oh, yeah. Oops. a lot of times, I don't know why I got into the habit of doing this. Um, I used to do like VPC 0 or like, well, the public subnet stuff makes sense because you've got multiple public subnets, but a lot of like I would do like CloudWatch log group 0, thinking in my head I would define multiple log groups in a single template instead of thinking about it like, hey, you just run the same template over and over through your CI script instead. So that's just an old habit. That there. Okay. Let's see what it does. Oh, that's good. There we go. Oh, I keep forgetting about this. Let's go fix that now, or look at it and see if it makes sense. So what we're saying is the transit gateway depends on the IAM service before we can deploy it, right? But does it depend on the CloudWatch log group? I want to say that it does. Yeah, because see here, it needs this. So what we should do is go like this. Job deploy CWL as well. And we'll do the old CI. All right, so while we're that deploy really doesn't mean anything. There we go. Okay, so everything worked okay here. Let's go back over to CloudFormation, and what we should have now are for these two VPCs a change set, and we don't. No change sets. Why don't we have a change set? I would have expected that to say, because we're adding, oh, you know what I did? I think remember I changed the name. So let's shrink up these guys and go here. See this? So TGW attached. Yes. And that I changed in here thinking maybe that was the cause of our problem, the parameter name, right? If we scroll all the way back up, it's this parameter name. So what we actually have to do is just go So what was happening there is we had the default value set to no, so it wasn't attaching, creating the attachment to the transit gateway. And there, now we've got our little need statements laid out. I wonder, do we have enough now to, there we go. Kind of silly, right? It doesn't really, it's not complex enough to make really interesting visualization of it, but this way we can kind of follow it through. Okay, so that one's done. What is that, our finance VPC? Let's see here if we have a, there we go. So all this should be is our transit gateway attachment. Okay, so let's execute that. Let's see if this one is here yet. It's also here. We'll execute that. And assuming they both work, we should end up, we can open up this. Go to the VPC, Scroll down. There's our transit gateway. Okay. Transit gateway attachments. They're coming to life. So they're pending. Flow logs now. Go to our flow log. Great. This is coming together. Tags. I didn't see tags in the attachment. Let's check that while we're waiting. So these are transit gateway attachments, VPC attachments, right? Oh yeah, it had tags. Did we miss the tags? That's weird. I didn't think we did. But we totally did. All right, so we can just borrow tags off of something we did earlier because I want the same set of tags, right? So we can just do this. And we do want to create a name. I'm going to get rid of this crazy join statement, and instead we'll just go like what we've been doing for these other stacks. And we'll say, what do we want to call this? So the stack name becomes, if we look at, go back over here and just have a quick look at our CloudFormation. So it'll pull in Twitch, Finance, VPC. Maybe we just say attachment TGW. The name's a little long, but at least that way, if you looked at it, you knew which VPC it's at because you get the stack name and it's an attachment for the transit gateway. Maybe, I guess we could just shorten it like that, right? Oh, sorry, I forgot to change the screen. All I did was, I'll just show you so you see it. All right. I just added here's all of our standard tags, and then I just generated this name tag here. Oops, pipelines. You know, it's funny. I'm having this feeling that when we try to change these tags, that it's going to throw an error. And I don't know if I'm mixing that up with something else that we've run into in the past, where there's something about the API call that it didn't like. Let's see what happens if we go back over here. Here's finance. We should have a change set, right? We're going to modify our transit gateway attachment, not being replaced. Let's execute that. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know. I'll let this one finish just in case this is the situation I'm thinking of. If we go back over here and refresh. No, it looks like it worked. Okay, so Twitch Finance VPC attached to the transit gateway. So we can run this one now. Did the other one finish? Yep, there we go. Okay. So details, our flow logs, and our tags. How long we've been streaming for? We got to be getting close to 2 hours. Yeah, it's 2 hours. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's have a look at, so we've got our transit gateway, our two sort of private or what we'll call like internal VPCs, right, that are now attached to the transit gateway. And then we need route tables with each of these. There's our two attachments. Okay. Because if we look right now, it's not associated to any route table. And that makes sense because if we go here and we look at the transit gateway route tables, here's the default route table. But we already said that we didn't want to, by default, associate any route tables with the default route table. We wanted to create our own route tables as we went. Okay. So we need route tables next. And these route tables are pretty basic. Tags and the transit gateway ID. And then what we need is we need to associate the route tables with the attachment. See what I mean? Like, I'm almost thinking again that this makes more sense to put in its own template. So you have a template called, I don't know, TGW attach, right? And in there, you create your VPC attachment, your route table association, and then if you needed to add routes or route table propagations, you could handle those. Because if you look at this template, sorry, I didn't change my screen again. I was doing so well earlier today. This is a big template already, right? It's 600 lines. So if we start adding even more to this, you can see where this could become, I would say it's already on the edge of becoming, it's not unmanageable, but it's a big template. So I think what we're going to do, oh, I'm frozen here again, aren't I? I'll see if I can get this fixed for next week. What I was doing is just doing a little bit of reorganization again, because this is starting to get busy, right? So now we've got networking, transit gateway, and our VPC. And then what I'm thinking is we could do like, maybe we do it like this. Okay. And then we take this and we put it in here. So we don't need this anymore. And that means back here, we don't need this, and we no longer need that. Okay. And then if we look at this attach, this also now needs to be an input. These also need to be inputs. So we'll go like this. And we need to grab these values. That value's fine. So let's look at our VPCs. And we can go all the way to the end. So all we need here is, I don't like this output, but it would basically be that, right? Because for whatever reason, I don't know why we would have done that, but that's the way that's set up. And then we need the IDs of our private subnets. Yeah, see, again, these are, well, let's leave them for now. Right? Okay. So let's have a look at this, because this is probably mucked up now. Yeah, so this is modules networking, and this is networking, right? What didn't it like here? What happened? My commit is not working. So I'll tell you what, we've been at it for just over a couple hours now. I think what we'll do is call it a day here. I think our GitLab server is telling us it's time to go think about something else for a while. So thanks for hanging out with me this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll try to get back to the regular Tuesday thing, but Wednesdays seem to be just working out a little better for me recently. But Tuesday or Wednesday, and we'll continue working on our transit gateway multi-VPC deployment. And yeah, we'll see you then. Bye for now.